there's different forms of pain. Pain has a function for us, though. Biologically, it has a function, whether it be physical pain, psychological pain, emotional pain. And for her, it was kind of around the topic of she had moved back with her family, and there's a lot of psychological and emotional pain that is being experienced moving back in her family.
These feelings all serve a purpose. They serve a function. When we can listen to it, that's how you become a master of your emotions, to where that guy is able to kill his shin on that pipe or whatever because he recognizes that he's in control of how he feels. Hey everybody, it's Bianca.
Welcome back, Evolvers. It's Emilia, and I am so excited to talk about this episode today. Obviously, some
Ooh.
some might say this might be a fave topic of mine that I very rarely get unleashed and unhinged access to talk about. So we're
This
gonna
is
we're gonna
Emilia's version of getting unhinged. It's talking about emotion.
talking about pain, right? Let's talk about pain
Oh,
and making friends with pain.
Jesus.
So, what in our beautiful angelic form, people might come across Bianca and I on social media and have all of these judgments, like we naturally do, right? And in our angelic, divine, feminine form, they might be like, yeah, these girls, these gals ain't had a lick of hardship in their life. They're this, they're that. They've never experienced pain in their life. And I cannot wait for people to really, really get a closer look at who they are having those judgments about. Because I remember, quick story for you. I remember when we first met, rewind, a couple of years, and I remember learning about Muay Thai for the first time, right? Muay Thai is the art of eight limbs. It is a martial arts, also a psycho art form of making friends with your pain, and it drew both of us in a beautiful way, right? And I remember at one point in time really trying to figure out, do I want to do Muay Thai as my martial arts go to of choice for assassin level training, or do I want to go into something that's a little bit like easy peasy? I won't call out any other forms of martial arts in that category. So, why I mention this is because I remember watching this Muay Thai individual who had been training for years and years and years. And I want to say he was like a decorated athlete, what have you. And I remember him kicking his shin into a metal pole and it not breaking again and again and again and again. And I remember the visceral response of my body being like, how is his leg not broken? Like I'm telling full blown wind up picture, like full blown soccer kick going for the final goal into a metal pole. All right. So all of our bodies are experiencing the pain, the functional pain that is activating our central nervous system right now to say, do not kick your metal shin into a pole. Picture like a metal pole that is like for like a stop sign or a anything, like as thick as my arm, full blown metal, not hollow, just metal kicking shin into it. Shoot that, shoot that, shoot that, shoot that. And I remember being like, that guy is a sicko. That is an absolute sicko. The fact that he's like, he turns around and then like stares down the barrel of the camera and it's like, what? What did I just see? Like, my brain literally in real time is like, I'm feeling like a little bit of pain on my shin right now. And like, that's that like phantom limb syndrome activated right now. My pain centers are like reminding me of every time I've ever turned the corner a little too quick on that couch where I just
Oh,
nailed my shin into it. Who's ever been there, right? Where you've just nailed your shin on something and you know how painful that is. It's like, oh, you just want to bite your freaking tongue. And it's like, I remember watching that video and being both activated in a like, that is disgusting. How can someone do that? How can someone be so capable of doing that? And how biologically super curious. How like physics wise, like how does that happen? Like how is this guy's shin harder than metal? And that just blew my mind. So anyways, I got into the science and I started understanding it. And that one of the ways in which inspired my training. And so when I had met you, that was something that had programmed me a little bit more because I was like, if that guy can do that, like imagine what I'm capable of. Cause I don't know his life story. I don't know what he's been through, but I know what I've been through. And I punch therapy, kick therapy, let's freaking go. Fast forward, you and I meet each other at the gym, and you're the one that's like, punch me in the face, Amelia. I want to learn from you, right? So for anyone who's new to Evolve, Bianca and I were training partners at the Muay Thai gym she and I had met at. And at that time, I had pretty much like phased out all of the training partners that I had. And it was a little too much for a lot of people, and that's fine. But Bianca was the first woman who like came in, punched me in the face, like, I got it. Like very willing to receive pain. Let's just say.
This
And
psychopath.
little bit of psycho. So, anyways, with that being said, why I start there is because why do we have pain? Like, let's just go in that real quick. Like, the purpose of pain is ultimately to help us understand what might be a threat to our central nervous system, right? Potential danger for harm in our physical bodies, right? The presence of an injury. When you watched or when you even heard me recall that story, like there's probably a little bit of activation of your central nervous system to be like, don't want shin to break, don't want to kick pole, do not kick metal pole, let's not do that, right? That's the presence of potential danger or harm to your physical system, right?
We're also not advocating that. Can I just make sure we put a
Definitely
disclaimer
not.
out there? Please, for the
Please.
love of God,
Please don't.
people, do not
Please
go
don't.
start doing this.
Please
It
do not.
takes decades for people to get to that point and very
Literally.
precise types of training that they do
Yeah.
because their shins and the nerves in their shin are literally dead, which is why they don't feel it, and it's debilitating, and it
Mm,
causes, like, horrible things in the future,
yeah.
which is why Emilia and I both stopped doing Muay Thai
Stopped.
because I
Yeah.
don't want my body to be decrepit by the time I'm 30, so
Exactly, exactly. So,
please
thank you for saying
do
that.
not please do not go try this. I just need to
So,
make sure that I say that.
definitely do not try that or don't even attempt. Like, don't even attempt, don't even get inspired by what I was just saying. Like, why do I mention that? Well, because that's the physical pain, right? Like, but there's also emotional pain. And when we talk about pain in this episode, there's so many different types of pain, but what is the function of pain? I think is a really great starting point. I was speaking with
Mm,
another client recently, and this kind of lends itself to the psychological pain, right? How we were talking about the function of regret, and you're going to love this because she had a belief system that regret is actually a bad thing. Like regret doesn't have an adaptive function in the human system. And I had a whole dialogue with her around that aspect that, there's different forms of pain. Pain has a function for us, though. Biologically, it has a function, whether it be physical pain, psychological pain, emotional pain. And for her, it was kind of around the topic of she had moved back with her family, and there's a lot of psychological and emotional pain that is being
mhm.
experienced moving back in her family, right? Like they don't understand her. They're very emotionally suppressive. They're socially so underdeveloped in comparison to her that the guilt trips, the screaming, the yelling, the forms of communication, it just induces so much pain. And so she's suffering
Mhm.
and sharing this with me in a call. And it's because of the environment that she's choosing to go back into this environment that when we look at all of her childhood induced so much pain. But the pain that's familiar to her, which is the suffering and whatnot, choosing to live with her family instead of getting her own place is psychological and emotional pain that her central nervous system has decided to choose. Yet she doesn't she's not yet there to fully understanding how that psychological pain is actually a function of her system to let her know that this actually isn't good for her, that this environment that she's moved herself back in, which is what I shared with her and I told her what would happen, and she's, getting there. But that pain, right? Regret is actually a really positive function of her psychological, emotional bodies, letting her know that this actually isn't a safe space here. And what I had suggested to where this podcast episode I believe was inspired was making friends with your pain instead of rejecting it, instead of pretending like it doesn't exist is far more of a better adaptive response. In this frame, obviously we're talking about emotional and psychological pain, right? The suffering that we experience when we feel so neglected by our family. It's not a bad thing. Actually, we can choose to look at it as a tool to help build a ladder out of the pain and suffering that we're experiencing. And so that's really where the genesis of this
Yeah.
episode kind of came from. And I just wanted to start with the contrast between physical and
No, it's
emotional and
good.
psychological pain, because I think that how you make friends with your pain and what your perspective and relationship with pain is really important to examine, especially when you find yourself experiencing some really really difficult emotions, some really difficult psychological emotional pain, and then you also have that, like, I don't really think regret is a good thing, like it's a whole thing. So talk to me. What kind of came up for you as we explore this episode, and specifically how to's that you want to pull in?
I love this. I love this topic. I talk to my client. I am. You're not going to be surprised by me saying this. At least 3 of the 9 clients that I see per day, I have this conversation with, that
Yeah.
emotions, especially the negative ones, the ones we don't like,
Mm,
that cause us pain, are not a bad thing. They are a message. To your point, it is a signal.
yeah.
Pain and painful emotions, even physical pain,
Yeah.
it's a message. It is a signal that something is wrong and that something needs to be addressed. Now, this is not me saying avoid pain because pain is bad. It
Right.
means when you're feeling pain, you have to understand, why am I feeling pain?
Yeah. Get curious.
What's what's causing this? So like I'll use a physical example.
Yeah.
I've had pretty bad back pain since I was 18.
Mm.
I was not the smartest, not the smartest human being back in the day.
Very
Um,
highly
oh,
influenced.
highly gullible,
Yeah.
highly influenceable, and I think that's a word,
I
whatever.
think so too. We're
Easily
gonna make it.
easily
It got
easily
the evolve
influenced,
stamp.
and I made a lot of dumb choices, and back in the day, I used to be a competitive power lifter. I was actually a really good one. I could've kinda pissed. I coulda been really good at the sport. But
Hmm.
anyways,
Hmm.
regret,
There's
hello.
regret.
I could've I could've been world class, and I know that because I
Yeah.
heard it from other people who were advanced in the sport. It's not me being arrogant, but anyways.
Yeah. Same with me
So
in Muay Thai.
I could have been really good at the sport. When I was 18, I let some people at the gym, rattle me a little bit, get in my head. They wanted to do a deadlifting contest.
Oof.
And me being intelligent back in the day, I'm like, "You know what? I'm gonna do this beltless just to show you guys."
Well,
So, for anyone who doesn't know, a weightlifting belt is something that you use to stabilize your core. People think it's meant to take away back pain. It's not. It's actually to keep your core tight, because a tight core allows you to lift heavier weight, right? And like when you're bracing for a punch, right? You
yep.
literally tighten your stomach and you take a big deep breath in so that it doesn't hurt as much. So when
Mhm.
you're lifting, you're supposed to do the same thing. It's a different purpose, but a similar reason.
Yeah, you engage those core muscles that are stabilizing.
Exactly. It's a stabilizing core muscle. And it keeps your spine neutral. So it
So
helps to
important.
keep your spine neutral, which is why this is me being annoying. But when I see people using a belt do bicep curls, I'm like, literally, for what reason? Like, you're just being a bro bodybuilder at this point, but whatever.
You never know. You never know.
I do know. I know why they're doing it. They think it makes them look cool.
Ah,
But
I should
anyways,
probably let go of that habit then.
that's why we don't work out anymore. No, I'm just kidding. Um, but so I was in this deadlifting contest and I didn't put my belt on and I did a deadlift and my back it popped.
Ah. Ooh.
And I'm like, "Oh no." I'm
Big
like, "What did I just do?" I fell on the floor. I could not get up.
oh,
For like 3 days after that, I was completely immobile.
baby.
And what ended up happening was I herniated a disc. For anyone who doesn't know, it basically means that like the jelly-like things in between our spine popped out. Um,
Not supposed to happen, just
And
FYI.
oh, not supposed to happen. A lot of, I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Anyways, so what ended up happening was I kept re-injuring it because I would start to feel a little bit better, and then I would engage in the same habit of trying to lift super heavy and trying to do all the same things, and then I
Mhm.
would hurt it again, and then I would have to go to PT again and go do all of these things, and then I would get back. How many of us know that habit?
Mm.
"Oh, I'm gonna start this habit for a few weeks. Start doing well, life looks good. Oh, I don't have to do that thing anymore. I can go back to the same
Mm.
patterns and habits and tendencies and whatever." And then the pain comes again, right? Like, I don't need to do my journaling practice every day. I feel good. Oh, nope, I feel bad. Oh, no, never mind. Okay, I gotta go do it again.
Yeah.
That was me,
Yeah.
but with the gym. And the reason I'm telling this story is because that pain, um, I've been dealing with it for 12 years at this
Yeah.
point. Happened when I was 18. I'm about to turn 30. It happened 12 years ago and I'm still dealing with it.
Mm.
The reason I bring this up is because me still dealing with it today, it's a signal. There is something wrong. There's something wrong. There's something going on in my body that has not been addressed. And when that pain comes up, it's an indicator for me that you need to go stretch. You need to do your exercises. You're neglecting the things that are helping this pain be more manageable and or not be there. Pain is a signal.
Mhm.
The majority of my clients, and I'm sure you would feel the same way, that the second that pain comes up, it's this catastrophic, like, oh my God, there's something wrong. I'm not supposed to feel bad. We're all supposed to be happy. There's like this really misguided narrative in the world that you're supposed to be happy all the time. And it's just fundamentally not true. And I used to be so sucked into this too. So like I'm not shaming anybody, but
Yeah.
we have this very misguided narrative and belief that happiness is the goal. And when we're not
Mhm.
happy, there's something wrong. And it's just not true. But what that belief does is it makes us feel as though there is something wrong when we're feeling bad or when we're not feeling the way that we believe we're supposed to be. And then we end up engaging in really harmful maladaptive behaviors like impulsive shopping, binge eating, scrolling through social media, going
Mhm.
on dating apps, whatever, to
Self-destruction.
man
Mhm.
self-destructive tendencies to manage the pain.
Yeah.
The biggest message that I've given to my clients, that I've given for myself, and that we are both of us are trying to help everybody out there understand is that pain is a message. It means that there is something to be done. Now,
Mhm.
whether it's acceptance,
Right.
whether it's something needs to be acknowledged, whether it's something does need to be worked on and changed, it's a signal.
Mm.
But it's our avoidance of these feelings. It is this devastating fear of, I can't feel this. This is bad. I'm not supposed to feel this. I don't trust myself when I feel this. That's what leads us to try to avoid it even further. And then every time the feeling comes up again, you just end up in that cycle again of, no, 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 I'm not supposed to feel this. Numb it, numb it, numb it, push it away, push it away. And it's like swiping dirt under the carpet. You can only do it so many times before there's literally a mountain of dirt that you
Mhm.
don't have to pick up the rug and it all comes flying at your face.
Mhm.
And it's like this gush of dirt and wind and whatever in your face. With emotions, it's the same thing. The more you avoid them and numb them and suppress them, the worse they are going to be. So, your ability to sit with those emotions,
Mhm.
to acknowledge those feelings, to give them the voice that they are literally begging and screaming for you to allow to be heard. That's how you start becoming friends with pain. That's how you start becoming friends with these feelings and allowing yourself to work through them to understand what is the message that this feeling is trying to give me. So, like anger, it's usually a signal that a core virtue or value of yours has been violated. With sadness, it's a perceived loss of options. Depression is the perceived it's hopelessness and loneliness and despair over a prolonged period of time. For anxiety, it's future oriented fear and worry. These feelings all serve a purpose. They serve a function. When we can
Mm.
listen to it, that's how you become a master of your emotions, to where that guy is able to kill his shin on that pipe or whatever because he recognizes that he's in control of how he feels.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the sentiments that I give my clients is when you can partner with pain, it's nothing bad because
Mm,
you're actually taking a proactive stance to acknowledge what your needs are and what needs are going unmet ultimately. Biological, psychological, emotional, social, digital, whatever, whatever that is. And so partnership is really the goal here. And that's ultimately, the how to. It starts with some of the things that we talked about was understanding what are the beliefs that are preventing you from actually seeing and literally having the perspective that pain is actually an indicator. It's a signal. It's an indicator to shift into curiosity, to examine something, right? um, what is preventing that from happening? What is the worldview that has induced that belief system? What specifically can you do? What's within your control, right?
mm,
Examine, partner with the pain, understand that it's a signal. We don't have to label it good or bad until we really can understand and have a root cause analysis of like, what is this coming from? If there's a little bit of like grumbling in your stomach, like mine right now, right? One could interpret that as pain, right? And okay, I can pay attention to that and acknowledge that that's a signal. And is it really pain though? Or is it just my biological system saying, we want food. We want food. Right? Like, and I'm being playful, but like, that's the thing. That's truly what's actually happening. I know it's a function of my chemistry, of my biology. It's not pain, baby. It's all good. We can have some water. We can do some stuff. We can eventually get a snack if we want to give in to that. Right. But here's the thing, there's so much more within our control, and I think that the biggest thing here is understanding ourselves, and the clients that I've had really take that frame of what we're saying, and specifically that mantra, like, if we can partner with our pain, then no pain is bad, right? The clients who have been able to do that have been able to have, ironically, far more levels of fulfillment, deeper meaning, and less pain in their life because they've taken a perspective reframe on what pain actually is. And so the suffering is no
100%.
longer something that's out of their control. It's something that is a choice. And when you have choice and voice, you're able to actually have so much more of a fulfilling life as opposed to the life that doesn't, number one, labels pain as a bad thing inherently. Number two, doesn't ever think that pain is something you can partner with. And number three, doesn't exert the control that you do have over the situation, over exploring your inner self and where this is coming from, examining that. Right. And so ultimately, there's a lot of goody gumdrops in here for you. And if you're someone that has been struggling to make friends with pain or struggling to really see regret as a positive function to a more adaptive version of yourself, or maybe you're like Bianca and had a moment where you're still trying to manage some pain and you're in the journey, or maybe you're already on the journey and you recognize in listening to this episode, like there's a little area that I notice a tendency of mine, not really partnering with that signal and instead just slapping a label on it, and that's causing me to act in this way or behave in this manner, whether that be impulsive shopping, right? We did an episode 349 on that, whether that be coping with substances, whatever that might be. That's where the You Do You program comes in. We're offering a 14 free day trial for any podcast listener of Evolve Ventures podcast. If you're someone that's struggling in this arena, this is a great way to dip your toe into coaching, therapy, a mix of both, right? This is super affordable. It's 24 access to your therapy sessions or coach. And you have one of the things too that we didn't mention in a former episode is you have a monthly take it or leave it session. So I know a lot of people, especially around this time of year, are struggling to get their calendars straight, right? The pain of calendars is a real hustle bustle. And when you're not necessarily as concerned, or when you're struggling because you do have, and maybe you're overwhelmed with pain right now and you're struggling trying to get on the calendar and show up for a call, like you don't have to with the You Do You program. It is literally texting, meeting you where you're at on your terms. It's freaking awesome. So do not miss out. The link for that 14 free trial day is going to be in the show notes. Do not miss out on that. B, what is your episode suggestion and or closing statements?
We both have the same episode suggestion, so you stole mine, you
That's too
thief.
funny.
No, I'm just kidding.
Um,
But it's
oh, sorry.
296, how to be more in control of your feelings. My closing statement: feelings are not bad. They are not dangerous. You have more control over them than you believe. And when we can start to partner with our emotions and with our feelings, they
Mm,
stop feeling so scary, and you can be able to recognize them as what they are, a signal
mm.
for action. So, the You Do You program is an amazing place to start. If this is something you want to get involved in, again, send us a DM, and we cannot wait to see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.
Bye.